So now we're going to deal with the Eureka Brass Band, or maybe I should say the Eureka Brass Bands, because there are actually two different bands called Eureka Brass Band. The first was formed in the 1880s in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Almost all the members were local Lake Charles musicians. The band lasted for about 10 years and then disbanded. But their legend was perpetuated by rumor, conversation, etc. through the years. So somewhere around 1920 in New Orleans, a second Eureka Brass Band emerged. And this brass band stayed together for years and years and years. As a result, a lot of different musicians came and went through this band over many, many years. Leadership changed as one guy got sick or his wife forced him to give up music and get a real job. Someone else rose up and took his place. But the band did survive. And then lo and behold, in an earlier conversation, we talked about Professor Humphrey. One of his grandsons emerged, Percy, as the leader of this Eureka Brass Band. And he kept it together from the time he took it over until his death. He was the longest serving leader and the most consistent, and he brought it to its highest prominence. Once again, he was the grandson of Professor Humphrey, who many in the jazz community have called the grandfather of jazz, although the professor himself never played a note of jazz. His grandson, however, did. People that also became associated with this band were Manuel Perez, who ended up in what they call the Colored Wolf's House with another young man who got in trouble. Colored Wolf's House was a place for bad kids. And the person who played with him on cornet was a young Louis Armstrong. And as they started out in pretty much juvenile detention, juvie as we call it today, learned to play music, their careers paralleled until Louis finally left New Orleans and went on to national prominence. And Manuel Perez became very popular around New Orleans, and he pretty much took every job that Louis Armstrong ever left. So when Louis quit a job, Manuel took that job. So he was kind of his understudy, so to speak, and was one of the most important members of the Eureka Brass Band because of his awesome talent on the cornet. Another important thing about the Eureka Brass Band is that it helped to standardize instrumentation for all the brass bands that followed it. 3 trumpets, 2 trombones, tuba, 2 or 3 woodwinds, saxophones, and clarinets, of course. Clarinets were king in these days. A bass drummer and a snare drummer who may also play a ride cymbal. This is the exact instrumentation of bands like the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. So the instrumentation established by Eureka Brass Band back in the 1920s survives to this very day. So their lasting legacy is they established for all time what a New Orleans brass band instrumentation should be. It worked in 1920 and it is working in 2020, 100 years later. Please remember the Eureka Brass Band 1 and 2. Thank you.